And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Today we're taking a look at a game called Dice Miner. Now this game, I remember it being on Kickstarter, attracted me because I like dice. And this game, you roll dice and put them on a mountain, and then you draft dice, and then you use these dice to get points. That's all good from my end. Now Atlas Games is not necessarily a company that I often go to, my go-to for games. I have a few games of those I really like, but usually their games are too light for me. But this one looked cool, although when I got it, I was like, wow, this game's big. But that's mostly because inside this deluxe version, there's a giant plastic mountain. I'll show you. The game is going to take place over 3 rounds. At the beginning of the game, each player is either going to get randomly given or they're going to pick a character. That character has 2 dice faces printed on them. And each round, it's as if you have these 2 die faces. You're going to put the rest of the dice in a bag, and then you're going to randomly put them out and drop them here in the mountain so that there are 20 dice available. You'll roll a die to see who goes first in round 1, and on a player's turn, you're going to go around the table and you're just going to draft the dice. So when I take a die, I can take the top die that I can pull without anything else falling off. So I take this die, the face that is showing, in this case 3 gems, is the face I get. The next player can take this die or this die. If they take this die, then 3 dice are opened up, etc. Now, there is a rule. There are dice with beer on it. If you have a beer, you can give it to another player. So let's say I give it to Mary. I roll the beer die. Whatever I roll goes to Mary. I say cheers, and now I get to take 2 dice, but one of those dice can actually be on a side, which could make dice slide. You're going to keep doing this until all the dice are drafted. Once all the dice are drafted, players can use magic symbols to re-roll dice if they want to. So I have a surveyor who has 1, and this one has 2, so I'm going to re-roll 3 dice. So I might re-roll this one, and this one. So let's say I roll those, and that turned out okay at best. Now, after this, you're going to score points for each of your dice. Tunnel dice are the most common dice, the white dice. Those you score for runs, but the run has to start with 1. So in this case, I have a 1 and a 2, so I'd get 3 points. But since I don't have a 3, I don't score for the 4. And if I didn't have the 1, I wouldn't be scoring here at all. If I had multiple 1s, you could score for multiple runs. Treasure dice score points for each gem you can see. So there's 3 gems there. And whoever has the most scores double. So maybe in this instance, I have the most gems. I would get 6 points. Hazard dice give you negative points. There are dragons and there are cave-ins. This is 2 cave-ins. Here you see 6 dragons. Happily, though, you can reverse these if you're lucky. A pickaxe reverses cave-ins. So this actually, instead of giving me minus 2 points, gives me plus 2 points. I'm still losing 6 points from the dragons, but if I had the side that stops the dragons, the shield side, then I would get positive 6 points instead of negative 6. Once players are done scoring their dice, they have to re-roll all of them. But you can keep some dice for each of these tool chests that you have. You can cache some dice. So if I had 3 tool chests, I might say, well, I'm definitely keeping this one. I'm keeping the 2, and I'm going to keep this double magic. But the rest of these, I'm going to roll. I roll all these dice. They sit in front of me. They're there for next turn. And then we draw more dice, put them on the mountain, and I'll draft again. But I'm going to have more dice to score and use. After 3 rounds, you're going to have scored 3 times on the score sheet here, and whoever has the most points is the winner. There is also a solo mode included with the game, as well as a solo scoring sheet on the back, but that's how you play. So I have the deluxe version here, which comes with both a bag of dice, as well as a cup, as well as a plastic mountain, and this massive box to store them all in. I'm really not a fan of this huge box. There was an annoying cardboard insert that I've currently removed. It's just too big. It's too big. I'd rather have the lesser impressive game here. The dice are fine. They're good quality dice, although it's really funny because they tell you to pour the dice in here, and you put in 20 dice. But this plastic thing looks like you should be dropping in more than that dice. It really does. And you don't notice there's a problem until you get closer to the top, and you're like, oh, wait, I was only supposed to put in 20 die. The symbols are fine. They're easy to argue. I would argue these tool chests and the concept of this game look like treasure chests. Not a big deal. These are really good quality. I'm not a huge fan of the art. In fact, my kids said the art was really ugly. That was their opinion of it. But it's fine. It just feels like this game is way too ornate for what it is. Now, again, I have the deluxe version. The normal version is probably better in that regard. I gotta say, this game for me is just a big okay. I like the idea of it, but there's just so much luck involved in it. For example, the dice that you need runs from, 1 through 5, that can be worth a lot of points. 15 points, right? But you need a 1. Well, what if there's only one out there? Someone else can take it. Now, you say, oh, not a problem, I'll re-roll it. But you might re-roll the dice and never get it. And this happens the whole game. The whole game, you're drafting dice, people are giving dice to other people, you're re-rolling and grabbing stuff, but you just might not get the things. It comes down to luck. When you draft things, you draft the best die for you. Occasionally there is some, well, this die is good for me because it's dragons, but I have a shield, so these dragons are automatically canceled. So there's a little bit of that in there, but it's essentially take the best die. And there's usually a pretty clear choice. So what are the harder choices? Okay, which dice are you going to re-roll? But it doesn't matter what the dice are that you re-roll because it's still random. It's not like you're playing the odds. You are playing the odds, but it's not like you can calculate the odds. You just roll dice and see what happens. I like the game. I like the idea. I just wish the dice scored more easily. That way, when it comes to what dice I want to pull, you have some tougher decisions. But each game, the winner was determined by, oh, look, I had a lot of cave-ins, and I had a pickaxe. It worked well. I canceled the cave-ins. I get a lot of points. Nothing you all can do to stop me, per se. Or, I got a whole lot of cave-ins. I didn't roll the pickaxe. I lost. Well, what's the difference? Luck. There's a little expansion that came in, the Dice Miner Backer Kit, which actually just came with some more ordinary dice. I was like, really? And some more rolls. The new rolls were nice. And a dry erase score sheet marker, which should have been in the base game. This game isn't strong enough for me to keep in the Dice Tower library. It's really light, but I think the audience who likes really light games are going to be thrown off by the scoring here. So I'm not quite sure who the audience is. I'm sure there's an audience for every game, but this isn't one that I'm really able to recommend because light dice games are fine. But this has some quirky rules and symbols that you're like, oh yeah, the shield cancels dragons, this cancels that. But at the end of the day, if you're looking for a slightly more strategic game, there's not enough meat on the bones in this one. So it's a pass for me. I didn't dislike it. I'll play it. I just don't think it's worth really getting into. That's Dice Miner. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time. Dice Tower Judgment, fun dice, but not a strong enough game.